Now, when Glock announced they were making a single stack pistol back in 2013, a lot of people were really excited about the new single stack 9mm that they were going to be getting. And of course, when they released the Model 42 and 380 ACP, there were a lot of people that were just hugely disappointed. And I'll have to admit, I was one of those guys. I was really looking forward to getting a single stack 9mm from Glock with a thinner slide. But I'd been carrying the Model 26 for a good while, for a number of years. And I was really wanting to get something that would even be more concealable, more comfortable to carry in an everyday situation or in particular situations. So when Glock announced the 42, a lot of people just went nuts, honestly. I knew immediately that I would be getting the 380 sooner or later. A lot of people were disappointed in the caliber choice itself. 380 ACP to a section of the gun community is just super underpowered, and they wouldn't have anything to do with it. And if you don't believe me, go to the Glock 42 review that I did just a few days ago that I uploaded on my channel, and look at the comments bashing the 380 ACP. You know, I understand the ballistics of the 380 ACP, but it is a very popular self-defense option. Of course, the 380 ACP was designed in 1908 by John Browning, and it has been a very popular concealed carry or personal defense firearm caliber since that time. And of course, with James Bond and the PPK, that was just world renowned. Let's go ahead and make sure that the gun is unloaded, and it is. So we're going to take a look at some of the possibilities and the reasons why Glock went with the 380 first. And I think that I do understand why. Number one, the Glock 42, regardless of all those who have cried about the 42 not selling, has been Glock's #1 selling pistol in 2014. From all indications. Glock doesn't release those numbers, but a lot of the gun shops that carry them, in fact the Glock store with Lenny McGill, who is the largest seller of Glock pistols in the country, said that that is their most popular selling pistol. So I think Glock didn't miss it with the 380 ACP. I think it just disappointed the hardcore gun guys like myself and many others. But when it really comes down to it, Glock is trying to sell handguns, and the concealed carry market has gotten so huge with a lot of new shooters, a lot of female shooters, and a lot of people that have had very little experience in the firearm industry. And so a very small, lightweight pistol fits the bill perfectly. You're able to incorporate it into your life. Now, a lot of people feel that the 9mm will be exactly the same dimensions as the 380. And that may be the reason why Glock has taken so long to release the 9. Because that feat in itself is going to be difficult, especially with the Glock design. While the Glock 26 is the same dimensions as far as length and height, it is actually a little longer, even in the grip, just a touch longer. But the big difference is the width of the slide. 380 ACP is fairly mild compared to the 9mm as far as pressures. It's still an effective round. A lot of people say that 380 ACP is barely effective, and then there are those who say that it's barely ineffective. And so there's been a debate over that for many years, but a lot of people have defended themselves with the 380 ACP effectively. And there have been those who have had a 45 ACP that weren't able to defend themselves. So the big thing with any handgun is shot placement. But that's a really huge debate, and we're not really going to get into that right now. But the big thing is for Glock to bring their 26 or this style width of 9mm slide down thin. There's a lot of engineering that's going to have to go into that, much more so than it would be for a 380 ACP. One of the things that they tried to do with the Model 30, being a 45 ACP subcompact, is they use the 36, which the slide is a small amount thinner, but the grip was a lot thinner. And one of the big things though is why go with a 6-round capacity when you might as well just go ahead and go with 10? And that's one of the things about the Glock. It is a 10-round magazine. That's 4 rounds more than a 6-round capacity 9mm. And so I think one of the things about that is let's get something that's much smaller. And because of that, There's a lot of things that have to be done to develop a pistol like that that's going to be effective, that's going to be reliable. And from what I've heard, Glock is planning to release their 9mm at NRA. But of course, there were rumors abounding about 2015 SHOT Show, the Glock single stack 9mm being released there, and it wasn't. So they will release it when they release it. Right, here we have a lineup of some of the different common calibers. These are the most common concealed carry calibers to me out on the market. And of course your 380 is right here. 38 Special, which is very close in ballistics to your 380 ACP. And then we have your 9mm, 40 Smith & Wesson, and 45 ACP. Of course, that does not include the 10mm, the 357 SIG, the 45 Gap, and other calibers that are out there for self-defense. But these are the most popular. 9mm out of this lineup is the most popular round. There are more 9mm sold and shot and gone through than any other caliber handgun wise. And part of the reason is because this not only hits your concealed carry market, but also just for competitive shooters and for just regular range time with full-size pistols. So knowing which one is really your most popular concealed carry is up to debate. Even though the 9mm is the most popular caliber sold, 380 ACP is relegated pretty much just to concealed carry. And there are a lot of popular concealed carry options. Your 9mm has considerably more pressures than your 380 ACP. Of course, the 40 Smith & Wesson has more pressure than the 9mm. Your 45 is moving at a slower pace. It's a larger projectile and just a well-known man stopper. Of course, with the jacketed hollow points too, and the technology that's gone into developing these rounds are all good self-defense rounds. Now the 380 ACP though is definitely the bottom of the rung, but it gives you less recoil, it's more shootable, and easier for inexperienced shooters to master. And so that there are a lot of advantages to the 380, but the big thing is if you're going to carry 380, you need to really concentrate on shot placement more than you do the 9, 40, or 45, but to be honest with you, all of these need good shot placement. One of the big complaints that I've heard about the Glock 42 is its size for a 380 ACP pistol. There are so many other pistols out there that are so much smaller, just like this Ruger LCP. And when I did the full review on the 42, I did a pretty close comparison with the LCP. One of the big things about the 42 is its shootability at the range. Your LCP is a little bit difficult to master. In fact, it takes going to the range and putting a number of boxes of ammunition through it to really feel comfortable shooting this pistol. Now, Ruger has improved the trigger pull on this, which has really helped a lot, but it is still super thin, and really you're just grabbing the front and back straps to hold on to this. With the Glock 42, it is a much better feeling gun at the range. It handles recoil much better. It is actually the softest 380 ACP pistol I've ever shot. The recoil is very mild. It's still a lightweight pistol, and it handles like a full-size gun in a lot of aspects. Your finger just barely gets here, and you can add a base plate if you want, but all the controls are the same as its larger brother. The mag release is very large and solid. It is ambidextrous, so you can change it. The magazines are the same as the standard Glock magazines as far as design. But another thing is the sights on the Glock. They're the same as the larger brother. The way the gun feels, even though it's thinner, it still has the same feel that the Glock larger brothers, which whether it's the 26, whether it's the 19, or the 17, or those that fall into those categories. So anybody that is carrying already a Glock 26, which is my preferred concealed carry on most occasions, this is an excellent backup. Or if I want to go summer carry, this would be very easy. I have all the muscle memory, I have all the training with the Glock pistols already. So this would make it a very easy transition. Even though it's 380, it sure would make it much easier to be able to use this in a defensive situation and feel confident. But another indicator with size was the Bersa Thunder 380. The Bersas have been hugely popular in the concealed carry market, especially for those on a budget. You can find a Bersa Thunder 380 for around the $250 to $300 mark. whereas the Glock runs about $400. This has been an excellent gun. In fact, this is the concealed carry model. I really enjoy shooting the Bersa Thunder 380s. And the size on it, as you can tell, it's pretty close. In fact, the big difference between the two is the weight. The Bersa comes in at 17.6 ounces and the Glock comes in at 13.8 ounces. So you have a similar size but a much lighter weight handgun. Another popular 380 concealed carry is the single action, whether it's the Colt Mustang like this one or the SIG P238. My mother carries the SIG P238. It's an excellent pistol. Of course, it is single action, and there's some things that you have to learn about that. One of the things about the Glock is you pick it up, you pull the trigger, you fire it. You don't have to worry about safeties. You don't have to worry about the hammer. It just makes it really nice. I still really love this little Mustang. It's a great gun to shoot. But for the novice shooter, to be honest with you, I would probably more recommend something like this because of the ease of operation. Of course, then you come in with the old school, like the CZ83, and they were making a lot of large frame 380s, whether it was the Browning BDA, Beretta had one. There's a lot of different 380s that, especially from years past, were decent round capacity with double stack magazines. But with the advent of polymer and getting these pistols really down, a lot of these went away with the dinosaur. These are still great pistols. They're fun at the range. I love it. But really, when you're talking about something that's really concealable, and of course this has a steel frame as well, the Glock pistols, the LCPs, the Kel-Tec 380, and many of those are so small and so thin that it really makes carrying this a lot different. Plus, this rivals many of the large frame 9mm as far as weight, and is still large. Of course, a lot of people state that why did Glock go with 380 over 9? Can't they do the same thing with the 9mm they can do with the 380 ACP? One of the big problems, again, with the 9mm is the pressures. You're going to have a more sturdy slide. Typically, the recoil is going to be more than your 380. A little bit extra weight doesn't hurt with these 9mm pistols. One of the most popular 9mm concealed carry options is the Smith & Wesson Shield. And just an excellent small pistol. As you can see, it's still a little bit larger than the Glock 380, but not really that much in silhouette. Even with the slide, but you can see here that the slide is a little bit thicker and it's definitely a little bit beefier, and it really needs to be to handle those pressures. And it also comes in at 19.8 ounces, where again the Glock comes in at 13.7. So you've got about 6.5 ounce difference between the two, and that does account for quite a bit. Here we have the SIG P290, very small pistol, but look how thick the slide is compared to the Glock. And this is the Glock 42, and you can see that it's quite a bit thicker. Actually a little bit thinner than the Glock 26. So even if Glock is going to bring this slide down to match a smaller level, it's still going to have to be fairly thick compared to the 380. Now they may surprise me. They may actually shock me beyond belief, and it may be just as thin. But that would be very doubtful. Here's the Beretta Nano. Small pistol. Silhouettes very nicely. Slide is still thicker. It's still heavier. Considerably heavier. So we're looking at more heft. We're looking at, you need that more heft for recoil management, and that translates into carryability because of weight and a little bit more size, a little bit more thickness. Then here we have the Bersa BP9. This is a very lightweight, very nice feeling pistol. It's not a super compact, but it's one of the thinnest pistols. Again, it's not that much thinner, I think, than the 26, but your 380 definitely has it beat. Of course, you've got the XDS, which is a really thin, very popular concealed carry option as well. But again, the weight on it is considerably more than your Glock 42. And there are others. Of course, we could probably put a whole table full of different pistols here. And if I was a gun shop, maybe we'd do that. But I'm not. So this is, one of the reasons is because of some of the beefed up slides, a little more substantial it's going to need for the 9mm. That is what Glock is probably having to wait on, to make sure that they're having to redesign their pistol to get it to that level. Now, of course, I'm saying all this. I don't work for Glock. I have nothing really to do with Glock. I don't know anything really about the inside process that's going on with Glock. These are mainly just some of the ideas that I have about why they've released the 380. And I think that honestly, it was a very smart move for them to release the 380 first because it was ready and because they were able to release it. I don't think that they're withholding the 9mm until the 42 peters out, because 380 ACP is still extremely popular and will continue to be, because they're continuing to develop pistols for that market that are just exceptional. Glock, you've got the 9mm, you've got everybody excited about it, and release it when it's ready, but please don't release it until it's ready, because that's one of the problems and one of the issues that the Glock 42 had, was having some problems with reliability, and they've had to correct them. In fact, I waited to buy this Glock almost a year after it was released because I wanted to get all the bugs out. Now, as I've said, Glock has done some changes or some upgrades to the Model 42. And one of the easiest ways to tell is to look on your magazine. There is a model number on the magazine, and if you'll notice on this one particular, there is an 02 right under the model number. Here we have one that has no markings under the model number. There is a 01 marking, which is the first update, and then we have the 02, which is the second update. And here you can see it right here, the 02. I did hear that they were allowing you to send back in older magazines and they would replace it with the 02. Haven't substantiated that, but that is one of the things. They were having some issues with the magazines feeding, and there is a few differences, especially in this area right here where your slide stop is, and some of the other things that this has to do with. They've just modified this somewhat to make it work. And that's one of the things, again, if you're going to 9mm, there are going to be other problems and things they're going to have to do to really tweak to make sure this gun is reliable. And with the 380, they've done the same thing. There's a lot that goes into designing these pistols, and they have liability issues, they have pressure issues. There's just a lot of things. And once you put that out on the market, you may end up like the Remington, R51, and then you got a debacle. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about specifically is why bother? Why bother with a 380 ACP pistol for self-defense? Well, the big thing is it can be really thin because of the lower pressures of the 380. That's one of the reasons why I think Glock went with this. It's going to have a smaller slide, which you see with the Model 26. It's definitely thicker. And with 9mm, you're going to need a little thicker slide. So that is one of the issues. The other thing is this is a very shootable pistol. Compared to the LCP, which I've shown, it's much smaller, lightweight, great for deep carry, and I like carrying it. But with the Glock 42, you'll tend to go to the range more often and shoot because it is more shootable. It's very thin, it's very concealable. The thing is, I buy pistols and I like them when I buy them. I might put them away for a while and I'm into something else and then I come back to it. I don't know how many times, and I know many of you guys feel the same way, how you've sold a pistol because of some little something and then you wish you'd never sold it. My tastes change, my abilities change, my preferences, my conditions in life change. So having the perfect pistol will change from day to day. And that's one of the things, a lot of guys get really dogmatic about certain pistols and certain functions on a pistol. And, really everybody has differences, everybody has preferences, and then we even change those. So you need to go out and find what's best for you considering your condition, how you're going to conceal carry, what you're going to do. And that's one of the things about the Glock pistol. I love Glocks. I have a number of Glocks, and this was on my to-get list. Was it necessary for me to get? No, not really. I've got other pistols that'll fit that same bill. But when it comes to self-defense, I want to have the preferences that I want that might meet that need. It may be something that I'm doing that the Glock 42 will fit that niche. And it may just be that I'll take the Glock 42 out to the range, shoot it, enjoy it, and not worry about it because I have other guns that go with it. But I definitely feel that if you're looking for a small 380, but you don't want something that's going to beat you up at the range, I think that the Glock Model 42 is an excellent choice. Again, make sure that you choose the proper ammunition. You definitely should be good with good quality full metal jacket. There are a lot of the jacketed hollow points that will work with this. But this is not a gun that you're going to go out and put 1,000 rounds through. And that's a good thing, because 380 typically is more expensive than 9mm. One of the big reasons for that, because a lot of people ask, they wonder why 380 is more expensive. You have to consider that 9mm is a NATO round. It's also a U.S. military issued round. And it's one of the most popular calibers in the U.S. compared to the 380, which is in pretty much concealed carry, and it's made a much more low volume. My Glock 19 or my Glock 26, I'll put thousands of rounds through those guns, where with the 380 I'll probably put 300 or 400 over maybe even the lifetime of the gun, just according to what I'm carrying. And so really, when it comes down to it, the sheer volume of 9mm is what drives the price down. And then with the 380, it just meets that demand. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. But we're going to look at some more reasons why I think that the 380, and we're going to look at, but let's look at some other reasons why I think that Glock went with the but let's look at some more reasons why they probably went. But let's look at some more reasons why I think that the 380, but one of the, and then we have the 45 ACP. Okay, let's do that again. Your 9mm has quite a lot of more pressure. Your 9mm has considerably more pressure than your 40 Smith. Then you have one of the thinnest Glocks. Okay. Of course, you have your small, of course, the SIG. That's one of the things that you need to realize with all these gun companies. There's a lot that goes into the. There's a lot that goes into the. There's a lot that goes into the.